I reached out to you immediately. I sent you an email and I was like, look, I want you to come on and talk, about, the exchange. But before we jump into that, I just want to know, who is Professor Dave? Share with us, your background, your educational, your educational background, your passions, your interests, your professional journey.
Sure. So I studied chemistry at Carleton College. So I did a bachelor's in chemistry. Then I started grad school in synthetic organic chemistry. To be honest, though, my passion was always music. I never really intended to. I didn't even want to go to grad school. It was just sort of like, this is the next thing. I wanted to move to California. So that was just my excuse to move to California. Throughout my 20s was focused primarily on music, but then ended up starting this YouTube channel to try to get some passive income. And so I started with just organic chemistry. I had been teaching organic chemistry at a little trade university here in LA. So I delivered my lectures to camera and uploaded them, and those were received really well. So I started doing more content, different subjects, general chemistry, this time with animations, and then biochemistry and biology and astronomy and physics. And it just kind of took off and became kind of, I never really expected or anticipated it, but embraced that. And now, science communication is my profession. It's one of my passions. I mean, art is still obviously a huge passion, but I take my role as a science communicator very seriously. And that's most of what I do these days. So.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. And so I watched the exchange between you, Godfrey, and you were on last night. And I don't know how long they kept you. I hung for an hour with you. I hung for an hour, and then I was like, I tapped out. But I knew that you had a chemistry background based on, when you started talking about the periodic table and the different elements and the way you were able to talk about certain things. I said, I think that his focus must have been chemistry. But then you also talked about how you taught yourself, I believe it was it quantum mechanics or quantum physics? You said.
I mean, I had some physics requirements for my chemistry degree, including quantum chemistry. There's a course you have to take quantum chemistry as part of a chemistry degree. So I learned some quantum mechanics, but then I learned a little bit more through making quantum mechanics content. And I was talking about how I'm very proud of that content because it's unique among my content, because it's some of the only content I made where I don't really fully get it. I kind of just was being taught it by a physicist and then making the content as I was learning it. And so that's why there's a lot of light bulb moments and clarity in that content, because I'm teaching it to you as I just learned it just then, that day. And so that's kind of fun content. So no, I'm certainly not an expert in quantum anything, but I'm well versed as a generalist. I'm well versed in the basics of many different subjects, including different subfields of physics. And so that's what I focus on. Is I'm never going to be a leading expert in any academic field. It's just not what I focus on. But in speaking to Godfrey, we jumped around from biology to astronomy to,
yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And it's all very basic information that I was providing, but I know it, and I feel that I'm very good at explaining it in a way that lay people can understand. And that's what a science communicator does, right? I'm not a scientist. I don't do research. I relay the goings on of the scientific community to the general public. I'm in the middle here. I'm the liaison. I'm the ambassador. I'm explaining to the general public what the scientists are doing. That's my job. Right?
Yeah, and brother Ankh, he's been doing this also for decades. And that's what he said. I remember Ankh used to always tell folks, because they would say, "You think you're a scientist?" And you were like, "No." Ankh, you said, "I'm not a scientist." You said, "I'm a science." I remember Ankh used to say, "I'm a science advocate." That's what you used to say. You say, "I'm a science advocate." And then, I know now you say, "I'm a science communicator." So you've been doing this, Ankh, for a while, even when I met you, almost nearly a decade ago. And so, brother Ankh, like, what made you, jump on that path of being a science advocate, a science communicator?
Well, okay, just like Dave, but I actually seen a problem in our community, and Dave, you're just getting familiar with this problem. There's a segment of the African American population that gravitate to pseudoisms, and I think it's just based off of a lot of things. Okay, I would say we got it honest. There's a lot. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of religious thinking which can cloud your judgment on matters of science, and so I seen people taking misinformation and galvanizing it, weaponizing it. Well, I'm gonna think keep doing that and weaponizing it and use it against us to get money, to convince us that our history is not being told right. And I'm with that. I'm with telling our history right. But I
Really
realized that
awesome.
was the actual trap. That was the trap.
Yeah.
And so there was no, I didn't even know about being an advocate for science. I had to literally get it out the mud. I had to figure out what science was. I had to read books. I had to do all these things as I was watching these things happen. And so when I came into this, I was called I'm practicing the white man's science. You're doing this, you're doing that. So for me,
The monkey man,
yeah, I'm the monkey man. They call me the monkey man. When I
'Cause you
talk about
believe.
Charles Darwin, oh man. So, it's a journey, but to see you the way you do it, it was interesting. And I seen how you got thrown into this whole flat earth thing. That wasn't even your thing to do the flat earth. By happenstance, you did that and it just blew up. So you're the flat earth killer.
Hey, so that's a good segue into my next question, Dave. So how did you get thrown in? How did you get thrown into the flat earth conversation and debates, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I was making an astronomy series. So when I make content, I focus on academic subjects, and I don't do standalone tutorials. I do series. So here is Astronomy 101. This is what you learn freshman year in college in Astronomy 101, 30 tutorials, whatever it is. And I thought it would be fun to wrap up that series with 2 videos, one debunking astrology and one debunking flat earth. I thought the astrology one would be a little more controversial, but nobody seemed to it didn't really ruffle too many feathers apparently. But the flat earth one, I didn't look into anything that flat earthers say. I didn't even Google what flat earthers believe, whatever it is. I had heard that there are some people that are like that. And I made a video recapitulating concepts from the series about how, this is how we know the earth is a sphere. The day that released, it went to the #1 search result for the flat earth keyword. And this group called the Globe Busters took that video and were like, we're going to do a live stream and tear this video apart. This dumb Dave, he doesn't know. And this is 2019. I'm not used to people talking about me on the internet. Now it's like every single day people put out videos about me attacking me. It's water off my back now. But back then I was like, what is this? Will not do. I was really like annoyed about it. And so I took their live stream, 3-hour live stream, and I chopped it up and made a 45-minute video responding to the live stream, just shredding them. And that was the first time I'd ever made that kind of long form content. I'd only done, little 5 to 10 minute tutorials for students. It blew up. It's the most viewed video on my channel now,
Wow.
5 years later. By 14 million views, 15 million views. And so I was like, wow, that was really fun. I'm really good at it. It's getting view. I mean, people love this content. So I was like, okay, I'll do a couple more. I did the 10 things all flat earthers say. And then I did 10 challenges for flat earthers. And they're just getting so many views. And I thought, all right, this is ridiculous. But what else can I debunk right now that I'm got a toe in this pool here? So I'm like, great, creationism. Let's attack that. I've always hated creationists. Electric universe, quantum mysticism, anti-vaxxers. I started just really going down the line here. And now 5 years later, it's like really, I have 2 halves of my channel, the tutorials and the debunks. And everybody knows that I do both of those things and take them both very seriously.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. I heard that the 24-minute video that you put up about your exchange with Lord Jamar. In the beginning of that video, you said, well, I was, apprehensive, when I was initially invited on Godfrey's program. And could you explain your thought process?
Yeah.
What was going on with you? And
not apprehensive, just very aware of what it would be, right? Godfrey later told me, like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was like, I did. Are you kidding me? Why would, obviously that's exactly what's going to happen. He's a delusional narcissist and completely irrational person that is going to react violently to anybody that shows him how ridiculous and wrong he is. And I've interacted with other flat earthers, and that's how they all are. So I knew that was exactly what's going to happen. But I've done this before, right? I've done this to David Weiss. I've done this to Austin Whitsitt, right? We do these little debates, and I just crap all over them and expose their lies, because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing to debate. They're objectively wrong, and there's no chance for amicable conversation, because they're not coming at this from a place of wanting to know facts or truth. They don't care about that, right? They care about their identity, which is wrapped up in this perceived superiority, perceived intellectual superiority, and red pill kind of truth seeker mentality. They're impervious to facts and logic. They do not care about any factual information or basic logic. So the only thing to do is crap all over them and humiliate them and show everyone watching what a clown they are. So I've done it many times before. Well, a few times, 2 or 3 times before. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll come on the show and do that. I don't know if it's going to last 5 minutes or an hour. It lasted about as long as I would have expected. He eventually was like, I can't do this anymore. So cut him out. But I was like,
then did you peep the jabs? Like Professor Dave, you would say doing stuff like sweetie, you called him sweetie, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then you were like, you're like, oh, you don't know that. Like you were just, it was entertaining. Yeah. But you were just, were you doing that stuff intentionally? Like, all right, sweetie, and
all you just you humiliate. I mean, you have to be bringing the facts. That's part one. But then on top of that, the condescension and the derision and the mockery just helps the overall goal of just making them look as dumb as humanly possible, right? And it also aggravates them, which makes them look even dumber as well.
And I get on Ankh about that all the time. He said, you get on me. Professor Dave did the same thing. You get on me when I do it, because he does it when I bring people, and I'm like, Ankh, don't start. Ankh, don't start. But now I see it. And he's like, you get on me. Professor Dave did the same stuff I do. Because Ankh is famous for that too, instigating and poking and pushing them.
Yeah, if they deserve it, right? This is not how I treat somebody who's coming in a good faith manner to a discussion. If somebody is saying, I heard this flat earther say this, and I can't counter. Can you explain it to me? I'm like, absolutely. Let me explain it to you. And we're going to have a normal conversation about it. That's not what this is. This guy is a toxic individual, a narcissistic fraud, right? These people are not to be treated with the decorum that you extend in a normal conversation like we're having here, right? That's not how you treat those people.
Yeah, and so what was your assessment with the exchange between you and him? Like, he wasn't the most sophisticated flat earther that you've come across, right? I mean,
no, I mean, which is hilarious because all flat earthers are idiots, but he is especially. I mean, the other one, David Weiss and Austin Whitsitt. I mean, it's like they at least can construct a sentence and try to respond to points that I make, even if it's total bullshit. He just was deer in headlights. Oh, it's bullshit. You're full of shit. I'm just like, wow, dude, you're really, really, really dumb.
So compared to other flat earthers, he wasn't as sophisticated.
He's even much dumber than other flat earthers. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Low
Very low. Yeah, low level. Did any of them ever give you a run for your money, Dave? Any of those flat earthers? I mean,
no. I mean, I would say Austin Whitsitt is the best at I'll say he's the best at having a pre-rehearsed script of word salad that he can throw out. Anytime I provide some physics, he's like, well, the perspective of the blah blah blah, and it's like, oh god damn it! All right, now I have to take that apart, But Jamar can't even. I mean, he just sits there with his, just sits there dumbfounded and can't even define words. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Ankh and Professor Dave, I just want to ask the two of you, how did we get here? To a society that, I mean, I have my ideas, but I do want to hear from the both of you. How do we get here to a society where you have people who do fall victim to, pseudoscience? How did we get here? Because I mean, the flat earth, that stuff has been debunked, I'm sorry, centuries ago. But we're back here. It's 2024, and we're now having conversations about things that were already solved, right? Questions that were already answered hundreds of years ago, right? But we're in 2024 discussing these things. How are we getting back here?
So the short answer is the internet. right?
Right.
Pseudoscience is not new, and conspiracy is not new, and these outlandish beliefs. I mean, there were flat earthers there. You know, there the
Thank you
last
guys. Thank you guys. 2025. Thank you. I said 2020. I'm still in 2024. 2025, y'all. Thank you.
Totally.
Go ahead, Professor D. Go ahead.
There, it's some ridiculous thing that used to just be shouted by a lunatic on the street corner that you would just walk by and disregard. Now those types of people now find themselves with these small platforms on YouTube or Twitter or BitChute or Rumble or all these platforms. And so that catalyzes that initial kernel of a movement or a following or something. And something as ridiculous as flat earth, it's not going to get very far, but there is a little bit of a flat earth community, and it's because they can post these videos and people all over the world can watch them and comment and then go further down the rabbit hole because of these ridiculous things that they have access to on the internet. So the internet is a double-edged sword, right? Democratization of information is the most powerful advancement in human history. The fact that everything humans have ever known is on the internet for anyone with a connection to access is absolutely incredible. It's the conclusion of a series of events that began with the printing press, right? It's like everybody can access and learn whatever they want. But the other side of that double-edged sword is that any lunatic can spew any disinformation and it can spread like wildfire. And that's what we're seeing in this post-truth era, is that the factual information is being drowned by disinformation, an order of magnitude greater in volume than the actual information. And it's hard to navigate. So
Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Ankh?
Well, it is heightened in the African American community. You can go all the way back to Hubert Hurston in the 1920s when he's on Speaker's Corner in Harlem. He's talking about Charles Darwin and evolution back then. On the flip side, you got pure charlatans trying to sell medicine, misinformation. The problem is we have not had enough to refute that. And it carries all the way to the day. There's an anti-scientific rhetoric in the African American community based off of the racism that has occurred. And so you automatically think that anything that is white has to be wrong. We don't look at science as being a human endeavor, which it actually is. It's different cultures over time add to the work of science. It's not a white person, quote unquote, endeavor. It's just not. It's a human endeavor. And we can look at societies in Africa, Asia, Europe, right, that added to the body work, like Copernicus. Talks, you know, the earth is not flat just based off of that type of work, right? So it started there, but it got inflated with the internet. So now, being a very, very marginalized, susceptible community, we're more susceptible, meaning we don't have the tools needed to fight that back. That's why you like a breath of fresh air, because when I'm saying it, but when you say it, you can get away with more than I can get away with. I know it sounds strange. I say, I know that. I know what I'm talking about. So for me, just having the tools to combat that, being able to go to some of you might not know this, but your flat earth series, just based off your simplified version, your cartoons you use.
Yep.
Man, that helps all cultures. So exact to the point. So it's the internet with no control system on the internet. Matter of fact, you kind of talk about that, and I want to get this right. All right. It's called, hold on, let me get this right. Yeah. Is this Wi-Fi organic? It's a couple chapters in the series. We'll talk about that later, right? That's your book.
Yeah.
And you explain that whole internet thing right there. So the internet has no filtering system on it. It actually can support your confirmation bias. And you know how dangerous that is in science and anything. So the scientific method helps you stop your confirmation bias, or at least, get it in tune a little bit. But yeah, it's the internet. And then the internet has gone wild. It's the tool, we would say, the devil's workshop. We would say that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
So I think so. The important thing to understand is that the singular thread that unites all science denial is an anti-establishment mentality that can take different forms in different communities. So in the Black community, it takes the form of the white man, right? We're going against the white man. But it's not unique to the Black community, right? White people fall for pseudoscience all the time, and it takes the form of anti-government or anti-pharma or anti-corporation X. Right. So it's everybody is trying to rage against a perceived authoritarian power. And that authoritarian power is a shapeshifter that can take whatever shape is going to be effective in selling pseudoscience to a particular community. So, members of the Black community can tackle this kind of Afrocentric lean to, Billy Carson is the perfect example. Do you guys know Billy Carson?
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
of
he's
him.
not Afro.
Just,
He's not Afrocentric though.
he's not African.
He's
he's
a
not
No,
African.
no. Well,
He's a
but he pushes this whole like the history, the history they tell us is wrong, right? Everything about Africa, and it's pseudoscience mixed with history revision, and but he definitely portrays himself as like I'm trying to elevate the Black community when in fact he's preying on the Black community, right? He's
absolutely
precisely toxic towards Black people. But that would be an example. I mean, Terrence Howard he's just insane, but the way that he's polarized the public and it was really hilarious. I did a piece on the first piece I did on Terrence that went pretty viral. I got a lot of accusations of racism. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
I did hear that because when I invited you on this platform, the first thing, we want you to talk about that because the first thing someone put in the comments when I said I invited you on the platform, he said, Dr. Mad, he's a racist, And so talk about where that came from, Professor Dave.
Well, it's just something that people say when they have nothing to say, right? Oh, you're just attacking him because he's Black. You're just attacking him because he's Jew. You're attacking her because she's a woman. All right. No, I just debunked every idiotic thing out of his mouth. But if you look at my very, very long debunk playlist, there's about 3 Black people and about 60 white people. So I don't know where this actually. In fact, most of the pseudoscience peddlers, I would say, are white. It's like I'm an equal opportunity debunker here. It's right. You spew bullshit, I debunk you. I don't care what your race is or your gender or anything like that. Your degree status, doesn't matter. You spew bullshit, I debunk you. But Terrence is just a very interesting situation of certain like it's interesting to see how it polarizes the Black community because some people are like, you see, he's a Black genius being held down by the white establishment, and then other people are like, no way, get this guy out of here. He does not represent us. He's a lunatic and an idiot. And the latter are correct, obviously. And so, but again, it's this anti-establishment thing. It's this thing of like academia bad. This jerk pulling shit out of his ass on Joe Rogan's podcast must therefore be the truth teller and the whistleblower and saying things that the establishment can't handle, when in fact he just is an idiot who can't do second grade math. He can't do multiplication. He doesn't know the definitions of the words he's using. He reads words, memorizes them, and says them randomly as though other people also don't know what they mean, right? We know what they mean, Terry, you don't, so it's bananas.
No, exactly. I just want to add too that I believe that the lack of critical thinking skills makes people susceptible. Oh, am I still?
Oh, I can hear both of you and see both of you fine.
Yeah. So that's something happening on your end, brother Ankh. But what I was getting ready to say is that I want to add that I think the lack of critical thinking skills make people susceptible to pseudoscience. Not having the ability to even, understand or comprehend, what's being said to them, lacking analytical skills, evaluative skills, research skills, having flawed methodologies, all of those sorts of things, I believe plays a part in why people are susceptible. And I get people, anti-government, anti-this, they lied. And, I know it's other factors, and you and Brother Ankh, discussed them. But I also think that, in our educational institution, which all of us are a product of, I'll speak for my educational journey, going through the public school system. I don't feel like they taught me, how to think necessarily. I think I was more so taught, what to think, right? Not really how to think. I honestly tell people I believe that I didn't develop critical thinking skills probably until I got to college, when I pursued, my electrical and computer engineering degree. That's when I learned, that how to critically think, right? And that's when I began to really develop those skills. But in the K through 12 sector, at least where I'm from, I don't think necessarily that you're conditioned to think critically. You're thinking, yes, you're thinking, but to think critically, I didn't get that, in my educational journey. So do you all believe that the public school system, and I know that depending upon what community you live in, your public school system is different.
for sure.
Thomas Shapiro talks about that in his book, The Cost of Being African American. He talked about how, your education, the quality of your education differs based on the community that you live in, and he talked about that. And so maybe in other communities, they're taught, critical thinking skills and they're exposed to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But Ankh, in our community, we talked about this when I showed the stats for why I started Conscious Ingenuity. In urban schools, a lot of them, don't go past algebra 2. A lot of the children are graduating, reading on a 4th grade level. A lot of them aren't adequately exposed to STEM, and so that happens. So I'm just saying that all of these things, I think, play a part in why, people, and particularly African-American people, are susceptible. I'm sorry, I keep butchering that Baltimore lazy tongue, to pseudoscience. So what are your thoughts about that?
Me or Dave?
Yeah, either
Dave?
both. Yeah, I just threw it out there.
I mean,
I want to hear Dave. Go ahead, Dave. I'm trying to hear you, Dave.
I mean, I agree completely. Like, I hear it a lot. And so for me, it's like I had a public school education in a very affluent, almost exclusively white area. So I was taught, I feel that I was taught critical thinking. I had a great education. I went into college ready for college and, had a great college experience. But I lived in Wilton, Connecticut, and there was about 4 or 5 Black kids that they bussed in from the city who were the top achievers of their community, and so they were selected. Here, you get to go to Wilton High School and have this great public education. Of course, there are communities that are left behind, and historically in America, they have traditionally been the predominantly Black communities. And so that's I don't know much about this type of bureaucracy, so I don't know how to solve that. But that's absolutely true. Those are my thoughts. What about you?
Okay, yeah.
So,
what about you? Mm-hmm.
Well, like I say, you either part of the problem or part of the solution. So I make no bones about it. I feel like I'm part of the solution. Me and Dr. May, make no excuses. The education is there for us. I wasn't raised in a hood. I was raised in a Jewish community in Upper Park Heights in Baltimore, Maryland. I went to Falstaff and I went to Northwestern High School. My parents always advocated for education. And so for me, as an African American, I think it's my responsibility. I don't think it's your responsibility, Dave. I feel like it's me and Dr. Mayat's responsibility to ground our community in science, but we're trying to ground the community is actually shrouded in religion. We will out Jesus Christ himself. And that's the issue. Because the more trials and tribulations that you go through as a community, the more you'll reach out for religion. That's just that's a human thing. So it's our job, no matter how much flack we take, is to educate our communities. It's our responsibility. Now, it's also important for people like yourself, Dave, that don't look like me, don't talk like me, to educate. And I can latch on to that. I can say, see, the other communities have this guy, right? So this is what strong communities have, people that advocate for science. I say that all the time. Everybody's religious, evolutionary process, we're going to believe anyway. But strong communities, strong, affluent communities are grounded in science. Our issue is that the people that's on these big platforms aren't educated in science. They say the same things. You got people like Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed. You don't even know those guys. They're going to get on your radar.
Yeah,
you don't know this. A pseudoscientist, Native American. Now you got African Americans think they the first people in America based off of skin color. like knock it off. It's the evolution, which it was surrounded by radiation. Stop it. So it's funny. I've been fighting these pseudos, got a whole group called the Pseudo Killers forever. And now, see, I said I was trying to get you ready for when the champions come. Trying to tell you that. Yeah, seriously, like I'm trying to, I want to be the person. I look like you, I talk like you, I can get the dirt with you. I said, but y'all gonna keep running your mouth, and somebody like Dave gonna come through and wash you up. He ain't gonna say, oh, he's white, he's racist. Wait a minute, bro. That's not what happened. Like, I know your playlist, Dave. You beat the heck out of people.
Yeah.
White, you like me, 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. Your language, you gonna say it straight up and down. You're not gonna play around. You're not afraid to be called a racist, right? Because you're comfortable in who you are. Because you're not that.
I know I'm not
racist. Right, you're advocating science.
Absolutely.
So I see you beat up the black horse. Like, the black horse was interesting to me because he has a degree, and it's on your playlist. I believe Eric and what's the other guy? His brother.
Oh, the Dark Horse, though, the Weinstein brothers.
My fault. The Dark Horse.
Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein. Yeah.
Okay, so this was my dilemma. During the vaccines, during that time period, and the pandemic, and so you would listen to his podcast. He would use scientific words.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he'd come with something wild, like he was always ahead of the science. And I was thinking, how could that be? So it didn't take me long to discern that he's a pseudoscientist. He's taking scientific terms, but he's misusing it. He's overstepping his skis. But that's me, right? But normal people watching it actually think he has points.
Sure. So yeah. Complete charlatan. But there's two brands here, right? You've got idiots like Lord Jamar who can't even construct a coherent sentence, and then you've got sophisticated deceivers like the Weinstein brothers, who have the cognitive ability to construct a very convincing script, provided that you are not educated in the sciences. And in some cases, so sophisticated that even people with an education in the sciences have to do a little digging in the primary literature to expose the lies. And so that's where you get, the Weinstein brothers had a very good racket going on for a while until they got pretty thoroughly debunked. I was a little late to the game, if I'm being honest. I think that my piece on them is very thorough and very convincing, but they had already lost prominence a couple years prior because people had started speaking out about how full of shit they are. But I don't judge people who fall for characters like that, because it's very difficult to spot the lies with people like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree with you.
I want to segue two guys into. I know earlier we talked about the internet, right, and how the internet has has been very instrumental in spreading, scientific misinformation and disinformation. But I want to say this: the internet has also been instrumental in making non-experts feel like they're experts. And so with access to Google and social media platforms, YouTube videos, everybody's an expert now. And to be quite honest with you, Dave, is very offensive, when folks, I'm an electrical engineer. So you got folks who will watch it, and I've been studying electrical engineering for over 15 years, and I actually teach it, and it's very offensive when someone watches a YouTube video and then they'll come into my lane and try to school me and act like they're now, the experts because they've watched, some YouTube videos or because they were able to Google some things on the internet and read some things. So now you have it with this internet, non-experts who actually feel like they're experts. So then you have also, because of that, now there has been a decrease in the respect for experts. People don't respect experts anymore. Back in the day, you come into a room, you're an expert in your field. People respected you as that, and they listened to you and they humbled you. Now you come into the room, nobody cares that you're an expert. And then you have non-experts who want to come and combat you on your expertise. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where we are right now and why you have people who don't, they they think that you have non-experts thinking they're experts. And then you have non-experts who don't even respect. It's no respect for experts, and it's not even a desire. Like, people don't even have a desire nowadays to do in-depth study in things that they want to know. So let's talk about that, Brother Ankh and Professor Dave.
Yeah. So you're precisely right. The offensive is the perfect word. It's offensive. It's very offensive to the professional community. And so the thing here is that this is why a lot of attention has to be paid sociologically to how the culture war is being structured. And the main part of the culture war is a concerted effort on the part of propagandists to attack any concept of expertise, right? If we want to be able to lie about anything we want, and there are experts who know we're wrong, we have to convince the viewer that expertise doesn't matter. That if you are an expert, you're actually a pawn in the game of the man, right? And so what they've done is to very carefully weaponize certain words. So, for example, do you notice that the word consensus has a negative connotation now in the common public? If you say the word consensus, people say, "Oh, consensus, what is that?" So the government no, it means that the overwhelming majority of anyone who knows what the fuck they're talking about on a topic agree that such and such is true. Consensus is the gold standard. Scientific consensus means if you're saying something that contradicts that, you better be coming with a lot of evidence, because this is what we all agree is true. But since that's so painfully obvious, what propagandists have had to do is to take words like consensus and repeatedly use them in a negative connotation over and over and over and over until the viewer has been trained, like a Pavlovian response, to react negatively to scientific consensus, which is insane. But that's exactly what they want. They want you to go, here's what all scientists in the world say. Nope. This jerk on some podcast, that's what you want to listen to, because they're the truth teller. They're the whistleblower. This is the rogue rebel that's going against the establishment. And that has worked so well over the past 10, 20 years that it's just absolutely rampant. That's why these podcasts make so much money. And that's why these figures are going on all of these podcasts like Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan copycats, because they know that they can start an entire career with one Joe Rogan experience, spew some bullshit where they say, blah, 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 the consensus is wrong. I know the truth. And millions of people will just fucking lap it up, because that's the culture war has trained a certain sector of the public to react that way. And that's, I think, the biggest problem of all of this.
Yeah, and Dave, to be honest with you, it's trickling down into the university. I've had students, so I teach 3 classes at my university. And one particular class, I talk about, one of the topics is signal transformation, right? So we're having a discussion with the students about signal transformation, and I'm showing them, a particular strategy that we use to transform a signal. The student left, right, after the lecture, went YouTube something, came in the next day like, man, Doc, no, the way you taught us, it's a better way than that. I watched a YouTube video and the guy showed me this way. And so what I did was, and I told my students, I'm not opposed to, when we're solving problems, right, in class, I don't tell them like, you have to do it my way, right? It's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Sure. Okay. And so I don't pigeonhole you to what I want you to do or the strategy that I want you to use. So if there are other strategies that work for you, use them. But this, what I said to him, I said, well, let me give you a problem. And that's what I told him. I said, you can use that guy's strategy if that's what you want. If you want to use the guy's strategy and you're comfortable, using his strategy, by all means, do it. And so I said, but if you get it wrong, on the exam, you wanted to I'm going to give you that. I'm going to mark it wrong. And so he's like, all right, Doc, okay, cool. And so he ended up, he was telling the students about this strategy, and he sent them the YouTube video. Right. And so several of the students, I guess they felt more comfortable with this guy's strategy. So I gave them a problem, Professor Dave. Mm-hmm. They all got it wrong. Yeah. Then wanted to come back to me and wanted me to figure out why they got it wrong. Mm-hmm. So where did we go wrong, Doc? No, I taught you the right way to do it, but I showed you the right way to do it, but you watched the YouTube video and thought that this guy was an expert. Yeah. And then you went off of, you used his strategy and you all, lost 25 points on your exam. So it's now trickling down to the university. Now you have students who think that they know more than the professor when they come into our classrooms.
This is what a large sector of the public doesn't understand about formal education. This is the do your own research types. And they may even be finding accurate information on the internet. That it may be fraudulent, it may even be accurate. But formal education involves assessment, right? We're testing you on what you know. If you don't go through that process, you may even be learning real things, And then you convince yourself, well, there we go. We got it. We did it. When you've maybe just scratched the surface of 1% of what you're supposed to learn in a course. You have to go through the assessment, right? When you're in college and you take classes, sometimes it's really hard. And then you have to take a test and, oh man, I got to see. Maybe I'm going to do a little better. This is the standard, right? This is where we're saying only if you pass these tests do you know what you're talking about. And, people recoil from that process for obvious reasons, but
yeah, absolutely. And this is a good segue into what I wanted to talk about. I wanted all of us to talk about, what it takes to become an expert in a field, because it seems like society has forgotten that. Society thinks that now you just sit home, you watch some YouTube videos, you Google some things, and now, and you memorize. Let's not forget that, Ankh. The lowest level of thinking is memorization. So you memorize, you have a good memory. Yeah, it's the base. It's the base. And so you memorize these ideas, and you're able to articulate them. That's now you're an expert. And I think that people really have forgotten what an expert is and what it takes to become an expert. So let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's talk about what it means to be an expert in science, an expert in engineering, an expert in, mathematics. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, if we're talking about those fields, science and engineering, it's someone with a doctorate. You know what I mean? If you don't have professionally speaking, if you don't have a doctorate in that field, you're not an expert. Now, it should be also understood that if you have a doctorate in a particular subfield of physics or something, whatever, you are an expert in that only.
Exactly.
And because of the incredible progress that we've made especially in the 20th century and now a quarter of the way through the 21st, we already know so much that in order to get a doctorate and contribute to a field, the degree to which you have to specialize is getting greater and greater. So there are not even any generalists within a singular field anymore. You have to get a doctorate in a particular niche of a particular subfield of a particular scientific discipline. So that's why, I think it's important to know that if we're talking about a very, very particular area, the person with a doctorate in that area is the expert. And also that's where their expertise is limited to. So such and such has a doctorate in this field. They are not an expert in this other thing. They might know about it, but they probably know about it to the degree that I know about it as a generalist.
Exactly.
I'm trying to be conversant and competent in dozens of fields. That's my goal as a generalist and a science communicator. So yeah, that's my answer.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that formal education is the only pathway to becoming an expert?
In the sciences, absolutely. I think that there are other areas. If you want to be an expert in the history of ancient Rome, I think it is possible to just read a shit ton of books and become an expert in that. I think that that's fair to say. I think it's better if you go through formal education, but I wouldn't completely discount somebody's opinion on ancient Rome who simply read 200 books on ancient Rome. Okay, some stuff, but science, I'm sorry, if you don't do chemistry, you can't be an expert in chemistry. When I studied chemistry, I did chemistry. Even in my bachelor's degree, we have laboratory components of the courses, so you do chemistry. And then in graduate school, I did research. I mean, I didn't get too far, but I had a thesis project and I was doing chemistry. And so I wasn't very good at it, but I know how to do chemistry. I know how chemistry works. I know how one does chemistry. So I'm sorry if you watched a few YouTube videos and you've never touched an Erlenmeyer flask in your life, you don't know how this works. You just don't. And the same goes for physics. The same goes for engineering.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that the more tangible a field is, because you can't, unfortunately, a lot. This it's very, very, very expensive. You need all of this gear, all this machinery to do this research, and those exist at universities. So that's where you have to go to learn these fields. Yeah,
absolutely, brother Ankh, your thoughts?
So okay, so I want to mention this in your book. Is this Wi-Fi organic, right? And in that first opening chapter, when you talk about how does the public perceive science, you talk about how there's a lot of different fields in that, and so no scientist would know all the sciences. It doesn't make sense. And how you have to get particular degrees in certain things, and even those people wouldn't understand other things. They might have some general information on it, so don't overwhelm yourself like that. So for me, this community in particular, I'm not going to talk about nobody else's community. They need to get them daggone degrees, because for so long we've been pushed out of education that we think that we don't need a degree now, because it was times in our history where it was hard to get a degree. You was marginalized based off the color of your skin. Simple as that. So you couldn't get those degrees. So now the field is open for you to get those degrees. To stop pseudoscience, you have to get those degrees. The main thing for me why I push getting degrees in said subjects, if you're going to claim to be an expert, because at least you would have your stuff tested, okay, instead of being a speculator, because not now we just speculating. But you can put it, there's a system in academics and in science, right? Peer review, where now you can get your work reviewed by your peers. I can't review your daggone work. I can just read the abstract and the conclusion. I can't get all the scientific data together. That's not what I'm doing. So for this community, they need to get degrees so they know when they wrong. See, an expert, you know when you make a mistake, maybe. So yeah, I'm saying to become an expert, so we know that you're qualified, not just making it up based off of the advent of the internet. Your degree showed me what school you went to, what the strength was, and what you're actually doing, and are you an expert in the subject that you talked about?
Yeah.
So I got
it's an important point, and then but it extends to all of us, right? Because even those who have a doctorate in biochemistry, ask them to read astrophysics primary scientific literature. They're in the same boat as you and me.
Right.
They can't read it either.
Right.
So unfortunately, we're all to an extent trusting somebody, and so everything you said is absolutely true. And if you want to know about a field, you need to gain the expertise through the formal routes, but then also recognize that wherever you don't get to, because none of us are going to even put a dent in the whole pie, you have to an extent say, listen, this is what the scientific community says in that field. So could there be aspects of what they're saying that are wrong? Absolutely. But that will be uncovered through the traditional scientific process as future generations of scientists in that field continue to probe that area. It's not going to come from this jerk over here on Joe Rogan who never learned an ounce of this stuff. So the scientific consensus is the gold standard. We're going with that. If you're contradicting that, we'll listen to you, but we got to approach this with extreme skepticism.
Absolutely.
Let them say what they're saying and address from there. And also realize that, yes, I mean, there could be some aspect of scientific consensus that's wrong that will be updated over time with further research. So this is not flawless. This is definitely not flawless, and let's let them talk, but they're almost certainly wrong. And just come at it that way. There's no certainty anywhere, but where we're placing our chips is with scientific consensus always.
I'm glad you said that, because people say, "Oh, the scientist was wrong." Y'all act like science is infallible. No one said that. Like you said, you can be wrong, but science is self-correcting. And so there's someone in the chat that just said that. Oh, sometimes the experts can be wrong. No one said that experts are always. Always, correct. And that, but like he said, you go with the consistency that we need to update the information. We update the information based on, evidence.
Basis. That is happening on a daily basis.
It's iterative. It's an iterative process. I mean, that's what it is. It's an iterative process. Correct. And I just want to add that I want people to understand that in order to become an expert in any field, it's a process. It's a process, so you may go through, formal education. And during that time, you're reading books, you're taking classes, you're taking assessments, right? Cumulative assessments. You may take quizzes, or, you may have to do projects. We do a lot of, in engineering, of course, we build a lot. So we're building circuits and stuff like that. So you may have cumulative projects and cumulative assessments. So you're being assessed at what you what you know. So we got to understand that is the path. The thing with autodidacts, and I remember Ankh years ago, I said, yeah, it's autodidact. Then you started saying it, Ankh, then everybody started saying it. But anyway, with my issue with autodidacts is that, and I'm talking about autodidacts who profess to be experts, who is assessing you. And so I started saying, in order to be certified, you must be verified by someone who is qualified. And when I said that on Signetta's platform years ago, and matter of fact, it was in 2016, people threw tomatoes at me. I said, in order to be certified, in order to be certified, you must be verified by someone who's qualified.
External, right?
Yeah, you don't just
subject to inflation by ego at all times, frequently.
So you pop up and you say, I'm an autodidact, and I know this, this information, now I'm the expert. And I ask my students, this question. I said, well, would you want to get on a plane flown by a pilot who was an autodidact. Nobody assessed whether he could fly this plane, but you get on that plane with your family,
Right.
with your mom, your dad, and your children. But you get
Yeah.
on that plane flown by that autodidact pilot. Oh no, doc. Oh no. Yeah. So exactly. So you need.
Pilots.
Yeah. And I said, even when you go to the damn doctors, when I go to my doctors or my dentist, when I'm talking about when I newly registered with one, I look on the walls to see the doctor's certifications. I look to see the degrees when I go in the wall, and when I go, I look around. I'm not just going to walk into your office and say,
Yeah.
you taught yourself. I'm gonna have heart surgery by a surgeon who was an autodidact. You're crazy for that.
Unfortunately, not everybody follows that analogy, because I think everyone would agree with the pilot thing, but then there are those who would say, "Oh, this establishment doctor, I don't trust them." Yeah, it's pretty
Oh
sad.
Lord, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I want to close by this. I want to end with the dangers of pseudoscience and listening to these pseudo intellectuals online. Can we talk about the dangers of that? Because I know that we're laughing, we're joking, we're having fun, fun talking about this stuff,
Yeah.
but it's really dangerous.
Of course.
It's really scary. When you have these pseudo intellectuals who have large followings. I've seen it. Brother Ankh and I was just talking about a pseudo intellectual today, Dane Calloway. We were talking about him, and he has hundreds of thousands of followers. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, he has hundreds of thousands of followers. And so can we talk about the dangers of pseudoscience and the dangers of listening to pseudo intellectuals? What will that do to society?
I mean, it has a measurable impact on death toll, right? Specifically in the medical realm, and pseudoscience that runs contrary to modern medicine kills people. You can die, right? All of these people who refuse medical treatment when they have cancer and things like that, they'll die, and that's why. So that's about as bad as it can get.
Ankh, are you there? It looked like he froze.
Oh, he might be.
Let me see. I'm gonna text him. Yeah,
I actually have to hop off. I had a call at 10 that I should get to.
All right. Well, Dave, look, man, I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah,
I think Ankh is getting ready to hop back on, but yeah. So you said the dangers of it is that we could die. We'd actually. Dave. Goddamn. It seems like you could die. You listen to the pseudo intellectuals.
Absolutely, in the medical realm, and then in the rest of it, it just, even if it's not about medicine, it just polarizes society in a certain direction that's going to be bad for humanity in the long run.
All right. Well, Dave, look, man, I appreciate your time. Could you tell people where to find you?
Sure. Professor Dave Explains on YouTube. That's about
Beautiful. And Dave, look, man, take care of that cough. I hope that you're feeling better. I heard you coughing on Godfrey's and show yesterday, and I was like, oh, I can empathize with you because I've been battling something myself. But look, thank you for your time, Dave. Appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon. Peace. All right, y'all. So you heard from Professor Dave, man. Appreciate him coming on the platform to talk about, his journey and give us some of his background. Cause I've been hearing different things. Was he, is he a professor? Does he what is his background? What is his educational background? What is his expertise? And so I had questions about that, and he answered those. Those are really good questions that he answered. I wanted to know how he got into this whole flat earth debate stuff. And I wanted to know his assessment on his exchange with Lord Jamar. And so he answered all of those questions, and I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if anybody wants to come in and just share your thoughts about anything that you've been. Here it is, y'all. Anything that you've heard. But I think all in all, it was a very good interview with Professor Dave. I'm gonna see if Brother Ankh is gonna hop back on. I think he's trying to reboot his computer. Hold on. And I just dropped the link to the chat. Just drop the link in the chat to join the live stream if you guys want to join. I'm calling Ankh now. Brother Ankh. Hey. Okay. All right. Well, we on here waiting on you, man. Okay. So he's coming back, guys. But yeah, hop on and talk to me. I just dropped the link in the chat. Hop on and share your thoughts, man. I think that was an awesome interview with Professor Dave. I think it was a great discussion with him. Hop on. And then we got to stop that crap, man. The first thing people want to say when he debunks somebody, you like, he's a racist. You don't have no evidence for what you're saying. We got to stop putting bones out on people and not having, stop putting bones out on people, we got to stop putting bones out there on people, and without evidence. When you don't like the person, they're racist or they're this or they're that, and you don't have no damn evidence. You just putting the bone out there. King Simon, I see you in the building. Peace and love to you, King Simon. How are you?
What's up, beloved? Happy
Hey,
New Year.
Happy New Year to you, King.
New Year. What's up? Very good, very good. I was watching that thing with Lord Jamar and him, but I think they took it down also.
No, they didn't take it. Well, Godfrey took it. Godfrey took it down, but Professor Dave had recorded it and put it on his channel.
Okay,
and it almost has 500,000 views.
Yeah, because the guy that brought Dave on, Dante is a good friend of mine. So we used to train martial arts. We used to train martial arts together.
I like Dante. He's a good brother.
Dante is very. He studied. He read the books on Dr. Ben, Shekanta Diop. He read a lot of books. He studied, and as far as flat Earth, or round Earth, or tetrahedron, I don't know. I'm the first to say it. What up, Unc? What up?
What's going on, man?
What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
Did I end up in another world or something? Professor Dave was saying I came back. Y'all got
Professor Dave. He's stupid.
What happened here? Did I end up in an alternative universe? I went from Professor Dave to a numerologist. What the world is going on? Y'all okay?
Bring it on.
What?
You know me.
Oh my God! Did they plug into the internet? What a contrast! He was just talking about you.
He said,
was just saying. Man, wow!
I dropped the link in the chat on to open it up for folks who had who wanted to come in and weigh in on the interview. He had to go.
Is that my man? Is that my man?
Oh man! Hey, but look, I appreciated how you treated me though. Last time I seen you, treated me like a king. I appreciate you. But you let me in. Treated me like I was gave him my hand call. I appreciate you, but that's not gonna stop me from banging. Just to let you know.
That man still, that elder's still traveling and doing his thing, man.
No, he's serious. Yeah, I ain't talking about. I'm talking about.
And that Morpheus.
That's how you
brother
doing,
Morpheus? What's going on, brother Morpheus? Peace and love to you, brother. How are you?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Peace and love. How's everybody?
Yeah, man. Again,
peace to you, man. What were your thoughts about? Well, King Simon, you didn't share your thoughts. What were you thinking? You said
I think what he was saying, especially with assessment, watching the repetitiveness of things and measuring things, especially with the scientific community, because I have a few family members that are doctors and into science and got their science degrees and all that. So I totally get what he's saying. Lord Jamar is Lord Jamar. We're gonna come from whatever he comes from, and I get it. But I'm glad that he was able to get on Godfrey's program with my boy Dante, who's Dante is a critical thinker. I've known him for years. We trained under Dr. Moses Powell's system back in the day. I know him from that time. So he's not a joke, and I wouldn't try to test him on those streets. Leave him alone. That person is there. So, but when it comes to this side, I believe that we do have to. Because remember back in the day, even amongst Shekanta Diop and all the great ones in our history, there was a lot of biases in a lot of these fields also, and that's what I put in the chat. Got to be careful of the biases, because sometimes Europeans can come with their own bias. Let's be real. But
they do.
Everybody. They do. And peer review is important, but sometimes the peers that are reviewing, it's not even really our peers as melanated people.
See what I'm saying? There you go. I heard the word melanated. There go. The first word.
I mean, look, it's a word. It's a word. You want me to say carbonated people? You want me to say African people? Indigenous?
You really want to say carbonated people? That's what you really want to say. Carbon beings.
Carbon beings. I can say African people or indigenous. And you mentioned the name earlier about Dane Calloway. Look, I've been watching the check, and I'm like, okay, let's see where we're gonna go. We're going with this.
You agree with him?
I study. How say again?
You agree with?
He said, "Do you agree?" He said, "Do you agree with him?"
No, I'm always studying and watching different people, man. I want to find out where they.
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you agree with him? You think
I don't agree with nothing that I haven't studied and researched for myself. So that's one thing.
Are black people the original people in America? Have you studied that? Just curious, just a question.
You know what, Ankh? He's starting already.
Let me say, are melanated people the original people of America? Yes, I believe that. I believe.
Okay, I don't even know what you mean by melanated now, because all humans have melanin. So what do you mean?
Say it again. Say what?
All humans have
Yes,
melanin,
you're
else we
right.
couldn't survive in a harmful
All
race.
people have melanin. You're absolutely right.
You're melanin, deal melanin. So
right. Okay.
hey, I ain't gonna get you. I'm gonna leave you alone. You my man.
It's all right.
I just
I know your
wanted
birthday coming up.
I want to swing at you a little bit. I want you to feel the win. I ain't trying to hit you. I want you to just feel the win. Did you know?
You see, mine. I shouted out his birthday real quick.
What happened? What you do? What happened?
Some numbers with the
birthday.
birthday.
Birthday coming up on February 25th.
Yeah, good. Give me a reading. Give me a reading.
You know what?
I do consultations, sir.
Yeah, you got to pay to get you read. On the 25th, the Aries is in the what they say in retrograde Mars. That's how you do it, right?
You know what's so funny? No, I don't do that. That's astrology.
What do you do?
That's astrology. I do
numerology though, right?
Numerology.
Dr. Mel said I can't pronounce words anyway.
That's all it is. Study of numbers.
Yeah, she said I can't. She said I don't pronounce words anyway, so I'm not gonna joke because I ain't said it.
Everybody get on you about that.
Hey, but look out. Hey, don't say it too loud. You know, Professor Dave is lurking. He might get you. Things.
Well, Professor Dave lurking. You know what?
I'm trying to help you out. Dave
Brother Morpheus.
Go ahead.
Brother Morpheus, what's your thoughts? I know you hopped on. What did you want to say, brother?
Peace to everybody.
Peace.
I think that was a great interview. I've been subscribed to Professor Dave for about 4 years.
Okay.
Right. I watched many of his debates, like the ones he did was one of my favorites with Dr. James Tor. Are you familiar? Did you watch that one?
No.
Oh no, that's a debate. You have to watch that. I gotta
go back and check that out. Okay.
No, you definitely have to watch that. Right. After that one is when I really became a follower and watching a lot of his work. A lot of people are probably just getting familiar with him with this Jamar thing.
Right.
Like I said, I've been watching him for a couple of years, and I do subscribe to him and watch his stuff. He's very good. He's very good at what he does outside of this whole Jamar with all that stuff. No, you got to really, really, really get into his his stuff and watch a lot of his podcasts and stuff like that, because he really is good.
Okay.
What I wanted to say is this. What I noticed right throughout the community that we're missing out a lot because we have this us versus them type of mentality. You feel me? And by us having this, anything the white man say is, whatever. Yeah, and I find it very funny because the terms that most people are using, like even like I said, brother Lord Jamar will come from the 5% nation. He'll quickly tell you that the sun is 93 million miles. Like, well, where did you get that from? Where did you get 93 million miles away from Earth? Right. So they want to pick and choose scientific jargon information when it fits, right? And when it fits their argument or their position. But us in this community, we have this us against them type of thing, and that blocks, right? That's blocking a lot of growth and knowledge on information, because if it's about information and information alone and knowledge, then it's not really, us against them type thing. And once you put those blinders on, us against them, and then you sign into everything is a conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy.
Right.
Everything. You know what I mean? So if everything is a conspiracy, it's like, well, how do you determine, what is real or true versus what's not? They're picking from what they like because it's a us against them mentality. And I'm just saying, I think you do yourself a disservice when you have that type of mentality of us against them. That's why I wanted to posit.
Morpheus, let me ask you, who's the origins of the us against them mentality?
Say it again.
Who's the originators of the us against?
I don't care about the who originated.
I'm not dealing with that. I can answer
that. You gotta go.
Hold on. I'm not. No, it doesn't. I'm not talking about the who started it. That's like a fight. Who hit who first? Meanwhile, everybody keep going on getting bruises. Yeah, but he hit me first. I don't come from, I'm not coming from that. You know what I mean? I'm not coming from that. That's me personally.
Let me answer that. So that came from African people started that. Yeah, African people on the continent of Africa started the us against me because they weren't all the same people. They was different people in Africa, different cultures.
Yeah. So if you want to take it there, then
I mean, but that's what it is. I'm saying I just wanted to cut Morpheus off. I mean, not my fault.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So if we're gonna go there,
let me finish my point. So for me, it starts in Africa with the first Homo sapien clans and groups, us against me. So then they married into families to try to bring them together, and that's just what it is. And then later on, it would be exacerbated by European colonialism, when they named you Negro and named themselves white, and so yeah, our last experience with it was in colonialism.
And we have taken on that mentality for.
So I think it's a human African thing. But
my bad. I just
so
as one of the
so let me ask you this, right? So with that answer that he just gave, that Ankh just eloquently gave, what would you say now?
I didn't dispute it. I said it makes sense if we are those people that started doing that amongst the tribes and the families. It makes sense. And then, like he said, it exacerbated through European and colonialism. We are still remotely living in their mindset, most of us.
You sound kind of low. That's why I'm not hardly hearing you.
I said most of us are still living in that mindset against that us against us mentality. That is still happening. We can't deny it.
No. I would agree with that. But that's the point I'm making. Right? I would definitely agree with that. But what I'm saying is that it's very hard to progress, right? Progress in our thinking and in our lives when we have this mentality, right? Especially when we're dealing with science of us against them. You know what I mean? Us against them. It's like, first of all, who's the them? Who's the them? Right? Right? But there is a us against them mentality. All you gotta do is read the chat. Read the chat and you'll see people, you know what they're saying. Oh, yeah, that's Dave, white guy, and you know what I'm saying. Y'all stamp him, and it's like, see, here we go. It's like, forget the information, forget about the information. It's just automatically, you know what I mean. It's like, it's crazy to me, man. It's crazy.
People put out there that are not in these fields, though. That's the problem, right? So people that are in these fields, people that are scientists, engineers, doctors, or whatever, I've never heard, and I've been in this field for a long time, anybody that's practicing in the field even articulate something like that, because they understand that the scientific process is a self-correcting process. If I put out data that is incorrect, the body of the community and my coworkers will correct that. You know what I'm saying? But if something is put out correctly by me, it will be accepted by my entire community, black, white, Chinese, or whatever. And so a lot of the times I hear that rhetoric being pushed and being worked itself into the conversation. And what that does is it discourages other people like myself, young black men, young black women, from getting to that field, because they look at that field, those fields, as if there's some type of preconceived bias, and instead of going through that fight, they back themselves out. So people that say stuff like that, for me, those people are the problem in our community of steering our youth away from these type of conversations and to get into these fields. And like, I don't know, I push STEM so heavy, it's ridiculous. And I appreciate this entire conversation, because what this conversation does is it shows that the problem of pseudoscience or lack of scientific literacy is not just in our community. This is a human problem. The human problem is the lack of desire or the lack of will to want to learn something and take those shortcuts. And what social media does is gives you those shortcuts, those 2 minute, those 180 characters, whatever the length of text or whatever, and it allows you to learn in micro bits and micro pieces. In that process, you're not learning the full entirety of that subject. You only learn what gets you that click or gets you that view. And I'm gonna rant, but I just
yeah, I agree with you, bro. I definitely agree with you.
Let me throw this in real quick. This is coming from the pseudo killer Discord. Schlimbe says that actually the us against me started with primates, early primates. So I just want to add that. I want to take it back a little bit farther. I didn't want to go too far because we barely understand it. I didn't want to go too far.
I feel like that's human nature. If you're talking about Africa, you're still talking about the origin of our species to a certain degree, as far back as you go. But tribalism is still an issue that we deal with. If I was just arguing with somebody the other day, I grew up in a very isolated community where I wasn't a part of a Black community. I was a part of a community of different people. And whether or not it was the black hair people or the brown eyed people, or whatever, we was going to find a way to separate ourselves from each other and feel like we wanted to find a way to elevate ourselves next to the other people. So competition just naturally seems to be a part of how we act. But I kind of wanted to piggyback on what the gentleman next to my right, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, was saying about kind of the foundations of our perspectives. Because for me, you know, honestly, I didn't get out of the us versus them mentality until I realized with the evolutionary consciousness that came with that, right? Like literally after post-evolution, right? And understanding the basics of just the scientific process and critical thinking and everything like that. I didn't really feel connected to all of humanity and all of creation until I actually got to that point in the first place. So I really didn't get out of that mentality until I accepted the science. You know, for me, I feel like what I need to do for my kids that wasn't done for me is I need to give them the tools of critical thinking that, let's be honest, the school system's not going to give that to them, right? I have to give that to them early so that they can have a better view of the world around them. They need a clearer lens to see the world with. So that's what my solution is going to be. I don't know the whole community, but I got to start with mine. And so that's what I'm going to do, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But so what, Dr. Maya, what do you think? Because that was interesting that you said that about the story about one of your students who went on YouTube and saw something and wanted to come back and challenge you.
Sure, wanted to come back and challenge me in front of my class. And I you know, and Morpheus, Brother Morpheus, I just, you know, I laughed when he, you know, told me that. And I'm one of those folks. I'm not one of those professors that you got to do it this way. You know, you got to, no, if you find an approach that works and it works for you and you're comfortable with it, go with it. You know, I'm one of those folks. I'm very flexible with my students. You know what I mean? And and so I told him, I said, look, you can do it that way. But if you do it that way and get it wrong, you're going to have to suffer the consequence. And so he said he wanted to do it his way. Matter of fact, and it wasn't just one time, Brother Morpheus. This has happened. This happens almost every semester. You know, I always get one or two that will say, oh, I saw a YouTube video and, you know, and so I this way that you're showing us is a better way. And I say, okay. And I say the same thing every semester. If there's a better approach and you're comfortable using that approach, go in and use it. But if you use it and you don't derive at the correct answer, you will be penalized. And
That's
so
right.
the class, I mean, the guy ended up getting the other people, you know, I always call it the fool's train. You always get somebody who hop on the fool's train. You know, one fool say something, another fool want to jump on. So he started the fool's train, and those people, they actually lost 25 points on an exam, right? Because they wanted to follow this guy on YouTube. And then they came to me, they got upset with me because they were like, well, could you help us figure out what we did wrong? No, I'm not going to analyze somebody else's strategy and tell you where they went wrong. No, you figure it out. You found the strategy. You found a strategy. You wanted to, you know, implement the strategy. So you figure out why your strategy failed. You know, I'm not going to sit there and figure it out.
So yeah. So that being said, because I encountered that also in my line of business, when I have different, I had a few students who was trying to produce or learn how to engineer off of YouTube, and I was like, hey, cool, good. And then when they came in the studio or they presented their stuff, it sounded horrible, right?
Yeah.
And I said, that's what you got off YouTube, huh? Right?
Yeah.
Hey, okay. I hear you, bro. But the question is this, right? The question is, for me, is what is it this generation, right? Or do you think the internet, with the event when internet came in, we got this whole new generation that has a distaste for science, Yet we use science on your cell phone and every aspect of your life. Science is cool. We like science, right? We like science. We like technology. We like, all this is stuff. But when did science get this distaste?
When religion, so for the African American community, we're highly religious, and religion is promoted in the household before science in most households.
Absolutely.
I do not
I would
speak
say
in
that.
absolutes. The Lord is superior.
That's true.
Okay, and that's what it is, and that's how we get through our problems is through prayer and coming together. Some of the largest institutions is the Black church. You can't deny that. A lot of
Right.
things was done through the Black church because they have institutions where you can go, where you can gather. You don't even gotta be you can gather. Civil rights movement, those types of things occurred in the church where you could get a safe haven. So science wasn't promoted there. Okay, so there's an interplay between highly religious and then pseudoisms. So King Simon, I want to ask you a question.
Beautiful.
How do you combat the conversations around science? So I call all y'all pseudos. I just do. And I'm not even being negative. I'm simply saying that what you're talking about is not compatible with science. That's what it's actually saying. It can be used as a pejorative, but when I'm actually talking to my brothers, I'm saying what y'all talked about is not compatible with the scientific method, and it's religion. Now, there's a place for religion, right? But there's a place for science. So how do you combat what I'm saying? When I say this all the time, how is that in your mind? What's making you say, man, come on, sir, I want to know. I think that's important for us to have this conversation based off the fact that we friends. I think that's important, King
Well,
Simon. What is it?
what I found is that I study patterns, cycles, and sequences in metaphysics, science, of numerology.
Okay.
I call it a metaphysics means beyond the physical.
The physical, right?
All right,
Religion.
let's get that.
All
And
right.
people in the conscious community, celebrity community, have proven the math that I use, the numbers that I use, right every time. Especially, for example, the people that are even in debates. There's certain primary numbers that I've studied over time. I've been studying this since 80s. Over time has proven that the certain numbers that are very good at getting into debates are numbers born and connected to the number 8, the number 9, the number 7, and the number 3. Boom. When Dr. Ma came on the scene at Sarnetta and she knocked it out the box, she born February 9th. Got me. Sarnetta bringing about the debate scene, born under the Aries energy, which is a 9 connection in numerology. Got me. You born February 25th. That February 25th equals 27, which is a 9. Got me. When I start seeing patterns like this continually in even our own community, from a mathematical perspective, from the numericals side and esoteric side, I see this all the time. So that's why I've watched it repeated, measured over time, and observed. So I'm able to teach it because I see it, even in my own family. From suicide, depression, there's numbers connected to that. About numbers. Numbers is the truest science out here.
Kyle, handle that for me, Kyle.
But
That's
just
my
a
friend.
minute.
Handle
I
that
have
for
a
me.
question about that.
Let the sister. Yeah, let the sister speak. Yeah, let the
Please give it
sister.
to me.
Yeah.
Handle that,
Hey,
sis.
good morning, y'all.
Good morning,
And
Queen. How
I'm
are
sorry,
you?
I'm on my cell phone today. I can't see anybody's name, but the
No, you
brother in the
good. You
purple
good,
shirt
Queen. You good, Queen. Go ahead.
talking about numerology and such. You realize that is a northern hemisphere centric version of numerology.
But no, hold on a second. First of all, the first person that practiced numbers and sound and vibration and the promotion of it was, in the modern term, was Pythagoras.
I understand what you're saying, but my
Okay.
point is that if I would lived in the southern hemisphere, none of your astrology would apply to my life as
I
today.
didn't do astrology.
How would your, I'm sorry,
I don't do astrology.
you're talking about numerology, right?
Yeah, I don't do astrology.
It's you're using a birthday, correct? Why is the birthday
I use the
significant?
numbers connected to the person born under that particular time date.
I understand what you're saying, but
So I
how is
don't do
that
it.
significant if you are on the other side of the planet?
Well, if I'm
You
on,
not
let's
see
say,
any of those stars.
let's say I'm in Ethiopia, and that has a whole total different calendar. I can use the Ethiopian calendar for that place.
Well, I think what she's asking, and I think I understand the exact question.
Man,
Because
let that lady
right
cook,
now,
man. She about to frown. Let her
yeah,
cook.
right
No, go ahead,
Come on,
brother.
Kyle,
Say
y'all
what
let
you
her
want to say.
cook.
No,
now, I just want to make
let
sure
him finish.
so what
Go
she
ahead, white
talked
shirt.
about in the Western societies, what we use is a base 10 system, right?
That's true.
And in other cultures, especially in West Africa, they use base 20, base 30, base 5. How does numerology compare, or how does it roll over into those different systems that don't have the same number base that you have?
It coincide with your birthday, which you get from the position of the stars in the sky.
But wherever a person, like I've done sessions for people in Arab cities, and they bring me the calendar of Hijra. They give me the Hijra calendar, the Muslim calendar. And I've studied Abjad also to be able to apply numbers to help him and guide him. Remember, numbers are here just to guide like a mathematical GPS.
But what are you? You're using the person's birthday as a starting point. Am I wrong about that?
I'm using the numbers connected to their birthday, your name, and their
Right.
birthday.
And where do you get a birthday from?
The ones that they submit to me.
But how is a birthday calculated?
Adding
Adding what?
adding the month, the day, and the year.
How do you get a month? How do you get a day?
What do you mean? How do I get a month? I'm talking about when a client comes to me and present their month, day, and that's what I deal with. I'm not dealing with anything else. That's all I deal.
But your logic is flawed because you're starting from a flawed premise.
I mean,
The numbers are arbitrarily given from humans, first of all, by the position of the stars in the sky.
Right.
Now, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you don't even see the same stars as the southern hemisphere, and vice versa.
But you're coming from
Therefore, if I was born in Vietnam, let's say,
right,
I would not even know anything about Polaris, for example, to calculate my birthday. If I would be a day ahead of you, 15 hours ahead of you, right now in this moment. So tomorrow is my birthday, but in the United States, it's the day prior. Did I say that right? Excuse me. If I'm in Vietnam and you said, let's say my birthday is January 14th, right? I am not in the same time zone as January 14th if I live in the United States and I'm in Vietnam, my birthday's in Vietnam.
Exactly. That's why I
say. But that won't apply because you are using numerology in some aspect is akin to astrology because you're using birthdays. Birthdays are created from the stars. At one point, humans said we should start remember when this baby was born. Eventually, you get the calendar created by other arbitrary discoveries of mathematics and the rotation of the stars and sun and how often that comes around. Hence how you get a leap year, for example, or a leap second. Okay, and all I'm saying is that I think you might want to look a little bit deeper into where is numerology, how it applies, and is there a difference? Would that work for a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere?
Did you hear what I said earlier about talking to a person from Arabia that uses the Islamic calendar that is totally different than this calendar over here, and was able to give him an assessment from that. And I also tapped into where he would be, what he would be considered over here on the western side of the world.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Saudi Arabia is in the northern hemisphere, sir. Just because it's Muslim doesn't have nothing to do with it.
Doc, can I show a source?
Yes. There you go.
Yeah, you just made the list. This list is called the list of pseudoscientific topics.
Are you going to Wikipedia? That's beautiful.
I'm definitely going.
Well, I mean, you don't even need Wikipedia. Just from what I'm saying of being a northern hemispheric centric ideology of using numbers along with astrology will not apply to the southern hemisphere of the world. If I lived in Australia, your numbers wouldn't work.
Why would you say that?
Whoa! I want to read the source. Let me read the source.
Go ahead, Bobby.
And you make a great point. I got the sources up on the screen. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. I don't think
we could see it. We could all see it.
Okay. So right here, this is the list. This how y'all do it. There's a list of topics characterized as pseudoscience. Start there. Any organization you
I've
in.
read it. I've read it.
Come to numerology, include numerology.
Numerology.
No, let us say
I said
numerology.
it right. Numerology. I said it right. Practices of Kabbalah, a set of beliefs, right, in a divine, mystical, or other special relationships between numbers, coinciding events. Numerology is regarded as pseudo mathematics or pseudoscience by modern scientists. All right, often associated with paranormal, alongside astrology, okay, and similar divinatory arts like deviation. Okay, all that is pseudoscientific, regardless of what culture is in. It's pseudoscientific. That's all we're saying. And so it's incompatible with the scientific method and more compatible with religion. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's two different things there. So, science can correct itself if they find that thing is accurate one day, right? The sister explained it eloquently, right? And how if you're in a different hemisphere, then what, right? Because now things aren't aligning like you claim to be. That's what she was essentially saying. She hit you with astronomy. So let me finish my point. So for the scientific community and for the pseudo killers, it's pseudoscience, and there's no debate on that.
From your perspective, from your perspective, it's pseudoscience.
No. It says. Hold on.
It's not about perspective.
It's not
about
perspective.
what
it
are
says from the scientists.
If I'm noticing that it works to help guide people.
No. You're missing it. It says by modern science. That has nothing to do with a perspective. I just want to make sure that this is clear. It's not has nothing to do with our the way we see it. No, because 12 inches is not a perspective. It's 12 inches in Australia. It's 12 inches in Africa. It's 12 inches in Baltimore, Maryland, in the hood, and 12 inches in the quote unquote Upper Park Heights. It's 12 inches. It's not your perspective on whether it's this or that. No, it's 12 inches precise. So wait, so we're dealing with things that have to be exact. Let me finish. I'm gonna let you hold on. No. Let me finish. I'm gonna let you talk when I'm finished. Listen. Okay. My point I'm making here is that we don't even have to out-talk each other. What we have to do is make sure we communicate what's actually going on. Right. It's pseudoscience based off of the body of science, based off of understanding the natural world that we live in. I rest my case.
Okay. Hey, look, people that's in the quote-unquote scientific world say they don't bear witness to birthdays, but yet most of them acknowledge their own birthdays. Very interesting.
That is fine. We're not talking about not acknowledging a birthday. Okay. What I am trying to
hold on, man. Can I speak? I speak. I let everybody speak. Let me speak. Let me clarify something. Number one, whether in the studies of numerology is the same all over the world in any system of numbers. Number two is the same all over the world. It's just much more added on when you're studying under Gematria of Kabbalah. So that there is a working methodology with this thing. And again, I use it to guide and help people, not to scientifically prove the things. But I tell people numbers don't care if you believe in them or not. They're objective as far as a perspective that I'm coming from. That is what I'm talking about. Now, you said something about northern hemisphere, southern. If somebody's born on the southern hemisphere of this planet and to present what they're born under that number to help me give them guidance, then that's what I would use. And I have the testimonies to prove that it works.
But you keep saying born under.
I don't care what the scientific community say if it's not working. Because I can look on any side. I have books from Tesla. I have books from Stephen Hawking. I have books from different people I've studied. And those are scientific people.
None of those people are astrophysicists, but it doesn't matter. It's not the point.
Right, but I study different people. I don't mind, but
I'll give you some credit on that. There are a lot of things that are in the category of pseudo that actually do help people because they believe it. Okay, I'm not discounting them, but all I am saying is that if this is a pseudo killer channel, and we're talking about killing the pseudo.
I didn't come on for that, but I'm there for it.
I know you didn't, but there are other people watching.
Me and my aunt know each other. Me and my uncle, me and my I'm cool. I got no problem.
My point is, sir, is that even for numerology was started before the number 0 was even a thing.
Say it again.
I said numerology was started before the number 0 was even an idea, a concept, an actual mathematical implication of what we do today.
India and Arabia, yes. Okay, you're right.
Okay, so all I'm just pointing out is that it can be a little bit dangerous because people say, oh, the numbers work. And if you believe that, that's your thing. That's fine. But we will call it out as pseudoscience because it is. And if it makes you feel better because that's what you want to believe, that's one thing. But to go around to say that this is a fact, I'm going to tell you that's wrong.
Look, what did I say earlier? I did not stop. From what I have studied and watched of the process of what has been repetitive in my family and celebrities and people throughout the community, and what has been measured over time, it has proven to be a fact in my world. And what I
Yes, but are you counting also the misses? Not just the success, but also the misses. What's
oh
your
no,
data on that?
we have our own peer review. We have our own,
Which is
but
the
we have
problem
figures.
also. You can't have peer review within your own peer review. You have to have it outside so other people can test
But
it.
I'm saying we have other numerologists that we do consult, or other, just like y'all have in the
Outside of
scientific world.
numerology, people have to be able to test your theory, sir.
But they have tested the theory.
Not the numerologists, not other numerologists, people outside of numerology.
I have other people in spiritual systems and scientific worlds, and I won't even mention their names, that have done consultation with me. And
Well, I would
said
like
it
to see
worked for
some
them.
data on your evidence of the successes of numerology and also the misses, the
Say it again,
not
man.
successes.
I can't hear that.
I would like to see some data on what are the successes of numerology and what are the misses. When does it not work? That's
No.
just as important as when it does work.
One of the no, I don't.
Would you not agree with that?
I agree. There are misses and there are successes. I do.
And we need to have the data on that so we can test
when,
it to
when
see
there are,
what
when,
works.
predominantly when there are misses is because the person themselves don't want to put in the work. As what I just
Regardless, it doesn't matter what I don't care about that. I just would like to see the data on it. And the reason that it's in the pseudo category is because we do have data on it for centuries, if not millennia,
right,
of people claiming that these things work amongst other pseudoscience category type of ideas.
right.
Okay. But as soon as you get a little bit of understanding of why these are based on the stars, okay, birthdays are based on the stars.
Mhm.
So starting from ground zero, you have a northern hemispheric idea of what applies to people in the northern hemisphere.
Mhm.
That same system that you want to use of numerology will not work in the southern hemisphere because you don't have the same playing field.
Let me ask you a question, man. Do you know
Yes,
somebody? Do you know somebody born in the southern hemisphere?
yes.
Okay. Are they somebody close to you?
What in the hell is going on?
I don't know.
Let me continue
You
this
gotta,
point.
gotta
I'm
do
over
like
here
this.
like I'm just listening to the both of them go back.
Are they close to you? No, hold on.
Just ask your question.
Huh?
Just
Oh,
go
she
ahead,
give
ask
you
your
the
About to
question.
wisdom.
blow your mind.
She give you
Are
the
they
wisdom.
close to you?
I mean, it's a student of mine, but close
Okay.
enough. We're
Okay.
not best
There
friends or
you go.
anything.
Okay. Do you want to give me their numbers and see how I break it down?
No,
Okay.
because it's nonsense.
Okay. Okay. See, again,
You gonna do
It's
it
like
for free?
buying a lotto
You gonna
ticket.
do it
It's
for
no
free?
in
different.
your face. I got
Look,
no
King
problem
Simon,
with it.
King Simon said,
He
I'm
said,
on
I'm
point.
doing it
I'm
right
on
I do it
point.
right
I do what
now.
I do.
now.
So
He said, look, he's a confident pseudo.
yeah, but you see, that word pseudo, we know where it comes from.
Uh,
I know where it comes from. I studied. I researched.
uh,
Where it come from? It's just
From the
saying,
time
I'm
y'all
simply
been,
saying, I
from the
want
time
you to
y'all
know
been
for you.
promoting it so much.
No,
I heard
I
Dr.
know.
Ben say pseudo one time. I heard Dr. Clark say
John
pseudo
Henry
one time.
Clark. So this is why I got
I
listen.
got it.
Listen. I'm just simply saying that what you're saying is incompatible
To the
with the
scientific world.
scientific method. That's all I'm
And
saying. And I'm saying
but it's
it's
not,
more. Let me
but
finish. Let me
it's
finish. I'm
compatible
saying
with
it's more in
the
the line.
metaphysics.
Listen, it's more in the line with religious thought. That's all I'm
Exactly.
saying. Because I like
It's
you,
a
King
form of
Simon.
religion.
I like you. Hold on. So people think I just like him. That's not
Oh
true.
no,
That's
no,
not
no.
what
Me
that
and
is.
you
No, I think
know.
he's a nice guy. I just think he's wrong. That's
I mean,
all.
from your perspective, you think I'm wrong. That's all.
He hit you with the
What I've
perspective
done
word.
and seen over years, it has worked. That's
But
my
we could
really?
go get a sandwich together and we'd be fine.
sure.
We just wouldn't talk about
Crash or something.
numerology.
As long as you tell me your birthday and let me talk to you.
You said something that kind of
But
stood.
but my birthday would already be over if I lived in Vietnam. it would be the next day. You understand what I'm
No
saying?
problem with that.
Sheesh.
No problem. It's not even about that. It don't matter. It don't matter to me. As long
But
as
I
you
don't even have the same stars to
But
calculate
I'm
my
saying, I'm
birthday.
not. See, you're thinking about astrology. I'm not thinking on
I'm
astrology.
thinking about astronomy. You're
You think
thinking about,
I'm thinking about
yes,
numbers
but you
and
don't see the correlation of the numbers relating to your birth and astrology being kin.
because numerology is one of the only signs that can transpose. If I don't need a birthday, I can use your name and break down things. I don't need a birthday. I
And
never
how
need.
does that work when English is my name is in English, but if I was in another country,
Hey
the
Lee, I
sound
keep muting
would
you out
make
because it's
sense.
feedback. Whenever you unmute yourself, then I can't hear the sister and I can't hear King Simon, man. So
Oh, so
if I'm muting you, I'm not muting you to be rude. I'm muting you because when you unmute yourself, there's some feedback, and I'm trying to hear what the sister is saying. Sister,
okay,
please continue.
please. What she said?
All I'm saying is that you're basing your reasoning on arbitrary factors of the fact that my name is in English, the fact that I live in the Northern Hemisphere. Those things come into play.
And
The same characters are not going to be the same if my name is in Arabic or if my name is in Chinese,
and
excuse me, or something
I
further south than that.
said that earlier. I studied
King
abjad.
Simon, going, boy, he
I,
going, dog.
I,
We want to hear one.
I've studied
This
abjad.
this
I
going
got the
around the
books on
world.
abjad. I got the books on Hebrew, mathematics, Hebrew numerology. I got all the books.
Every last one of those are Northern Hemispheric
Oh,
places, sir.
go ahead and do
Give
it.
me
I want to see
something
what
in
you
the
got.
Southern Hemisphere, and maybe you might have an argument.
I
Okay,
want to see what you got.
Because Saudi Arabia is in the Northern Hemisphere.
okay, so
Every other place you said is in the Northern Hemisphere,
the southern hemisphere would be the southern
like
hemisphere would be
Australia, for example.
South America. South America. What's it called? South
South
Africa
America, fine.
and South. Yes. So if somebody came with a birthday or a numbers connected to where they say they were born, then I could use that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Remember, I'm talking about the interpretations of the numbers used. So
But
like I
my
said,
question is, do you have the data from the Southern Hemisphere folks that you talk to, if you talk to any?
from South Africa, yes, I do have it. I do have the data, but I
He
write
got data
my
for
stuff
everywhere.
down on pen and paper because I have clients in the Southern Hemisphere. I have clients in the Caribbean. I have clients in Africa. I have clients all over the place, all over the world, actually, all over the world. So I have helped
I think
people.
I'm
And the fact that
understanding
those numbers that doesn't even
this
use
gentleman's
zero, that doesn't bother
process.
you?
Hey, Doc, my
No,
sons is
I didn't
watching.
hear what you said. Everybody, calm down.
Okay.
You talk to me here. What you said?
This will
I
be
was
my
gonna
last question, and
Yeah,
I'll
please.
I'll have to bow out. The
What you
fact
said?
that numerology doesn't even use zero as part of the number system, that
No,
doesn't
that's not true.
bother you?
Numerology does use zero. Don't. They do that. We do use zero.
Zero as a starting point.
Maybe Pythagoras didn't have zero. Maybe the Chaldeans didn't have zero, but the Nigerian
They went
numerology
ancient
system,
on you.
has zero.
Not when it first started, and that is just how any pseudoscience develops along with the real science in the world. They try to keep up. That's why you see religions try to make sense of DNA and
It, it,
studies of geology and things like that to prove
it,
their things are true.
let
It's
me
the
let me ask
same
you
type of evolution within numerology
let me ask you
that
a question. Hold on
has
one second.
kept up with the time.
Let me ask you a question. Is mathematics a pure science?
It's not science.
It's not
What is it?
science.
What is it?
It's a way of
Proof.
providing a representational fact about the world.
And
It's proof.
that is
Math is
exactly what
proof.
I use with numerology.
Let me say this real quick.
Okay.
Say it like a
Well, we'll
truth.
just
My
have
sons
to
are watching.
agree to disagree at this moment.
That's
I'll be
what
on the background, but
until
I have no
you do a
interest.
session with me.
Hold on, my sons are watching. My
Hey,
sons
son!
are watching, and they said, stop the cap, man. They said you're capping. That's what the youngsters say. They said you're capping. They say you're on that capping.
Shout out to your sons, brother.
Shout out to the twins.
Shout out to your
And
sons.
tell them I could break down the word captain too.
Hey, look, hey, Mosky Woski.
They
Hey,
say you
Mosky
Mr.
Woski.
Dave show capping. They
Hey,
said
Mosky
how?
Woski, you got it, man. You got the floor. Mosky Woski and Lee, y'all got the floor. Close us out, cause I gotta hop off in like 5
Close
minutes.
it out. I got
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
getting
out.
ready to get off.
man, them
Yes,
daggone twins
but
play too much,
I
man.
want to refer to people by their name. I can't see the name on here, but
Uh-huh.
the person who was just debating with the numerology guy.
There's no debate here.
I don't think I can go as hard and articulate as well, but I can say this: what I was noticing as I was listening is an opportunity to try to maybe attempt to stillman this man's position on how he's even his process, because I feel like we're asking about his process, and as I'm hearing the, not to be funny, but it just sounds like the shifting of perspective to try and shift the goalpost to get where you need to go. But it sounds like no matter where anybody's at, no matter what's correlated with them, you can try to attach a number to it and try to figure out some type of thing based off of anything they ask. And what we want to understand is, how can you tack down the process in which that actually works, that you can tangibly measure the effects of all of the things you're talking about? Because you're not necessarily proving that there's any cause to even the claims that you might make specific to the one thing that somebody might be asking, right? Which is what we want to see. All you're showing is a vagueness of correlations, which is fun. And it's such in my opinion, what I've always seen is common with all of the pseudoscientific issues is there's always something that just has this gut feeling of there's these correlations that oftentimes and more usually always have no real connection or cause to what you're trying to make a claim on. And so that's why she's making these things. This is a specific person in a specific place. Those stars don't even connect anymore with where they would have been in the sun when people started telling people that they were this based off this 12 calendar thing. The whole 12-month calendar is all of that. There's so many things that you have to keep in mind when we're looking at trying to pinpoint where you're coming from. We already know. That's the funny thing, is she's already ahead on where you're at with what you're trying to say, because even trying to base somebody's life based off of whatever archaic calendar month they have based on where they come from is not accurate enough to work. That's not even the same sky anymore. So that's the funny thing, is like we're skipping, she's trying to skip ahead of that. Even when I can see where you're at, you're trying to make it go, anything works for anything as long as it's correlated with your life. I can draw a number from it and I can find a way to give you the answers you need for the thing you need. And look how many times I gave good advice. Right, that's essentially what it is. And it's like that's also completely subjective, and so it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm noticing.
What I'm saying, because every culture that I've studied, from the Japanese to Chinese, have their numerology system or their numerical system. They have their numerical system and have used it. That's why you have, when you go to places like China, 8 is a success number for them. 4, because it sounds like death, is a devastating number towards them. And in Japan. So different cultures have held on to what Ankh might say may have been religious, but that is what they have held on and have produced a vibration that has held on to something like that continually, and they're going into. That's what they're doing. What I do as a numerologist.
Even if we were to agree that people agreed to that, how do we prove that what they agreed to is even true?
Because
most proof. You see, people saw it happen. And they all agreed to it. Okay. What degree of what we're in a conference, we're in a right. And forgive me for maybe overstepping bounds, but we are on a channel that literally argues about whether or not people are telling the truth, right? Like, so facts and evidence matters. So when you say
he showed up on the wrong show.
I was like, why did King Simon do it to himself?
This is the right channel for the right time.
Hey, King Simon. Hey, King Simon. Let me say this. Listen.
Yeah.
First of all, when my phone died, my internet died, right? I was talking to Professor Dave. He's the #1 pseudo killer with the flat earth.
Right.
Then I pop back up, you there. You the #1 numerologist. Ain't no way in the world that had, how in the hell? That's why I was saying, what the heck is happening here? Yo, it confused me. I was like this.
Look.
Listen, you my man. I say, yo, maybe the Lord is talking to me. Get him.
Oh man.
I say, nah, we on Doc Show. I ain't gonna get you because you my man. Last time I seen you treat me respect.
Oh, man.
So I don't ever want you to think that I'm being disrespectful. Right?
You know, I'm a happy-go-lucky
right. No, and I know you got children watching. Hold on, you got kids watching. You know, sometimes I post something on Facebook when y'all was walking around the moon or something. Y'all was doing something up on the mountain. What was y'all doing? Making it rain or something.
But let's
making
go.
it rain on to the ants. I don't know what the hell y'all was
I
doing.
wasn't
But
doing all
listen,
of that, brother. I
let me,
know what I was
yeah,
doing.
big up the rib. Hold on, big up the red pill and blue pill. When I sing, they all showed me love. I was outnumbered.
We all show you
They
love.
showed me love. They was laughing. It was funny.
Well, I was
Right?
outnumbered.
Yeah, I was outnumbered. The pseudos had me outnumbered. But look, KT the arts degree, he looked at me. You know, he the hard one. He like, he couldn't do nothing but laugh. Because at the end of the day, yo, we actually do have love for each
Well,
other.
yeah, we actually
Absolutely, yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
We just don't agree. So I'm saying you popped up, you wow for this one. So I just want to make it clear. What he's talking about is incompatible. Let me finish.
Yeah, hold on. Let him finish because I got to close out, y'all. I got a 2 o'clock. I got a 2 o'clock. I got a 2 o'clock. So
listen.
I'm getting ready to hit the end.
You know what I'm gonna have to
stream.
do? I'm gonna have to do a rewind. It's
Yeah.
called the end of Professor Dave show.
My goal.
All right, it King Simon, I gotta go. I got a 2 o'clock, brother. I got a 2 o'clock, man. We developing a STEM curriculum for the babies right now. We're developing a STEM curriculum right now for the babies. And we're doing hands-on videos. So they have like hands-on videos. So we're doing the hands-on videos. We're teaching them about electric circuits, coding, and all sorts of stuff. So that is what is important. You know what I mean? This curriculum. So I'm gonna hop off, review these videos. Ankh, it was a pleasure. Everyone who tuned in today, it was a pleasure. Peace and Black African excellence. Peace.
Black African power.